So what does it look like? Well, this is a really neat schematic from Andy Jones. And so you've got our exercise domains, moderate, heavy, severe. We've got lactate turn point, or you want to call it gas exchange threshold. Here you've got critical power or critical velocity. And then what you've got here is our hyperbolic relationship. And this is the asymptote of that curve, which defines the boundary between heavy and severe. Each of these points represents a exercise time to exhaustion, and that's the really important point here. You have to establish this across repeat trials to exhaustion, and we know they're to exhaustion because, as you're about to learn, you have to do these trials to exhaustion in a severe exercise domain. Because remember, you're trying to identify that boundary. You're trying to identify the boundary, and you're trying to identify an asymptote. So there's no point doing exercise in the heavy or moderate domains because you don't get to exhaustion, you only get fatigued. What you then have is this area that exists. So here's the critical power, so this is its asymptote. These areas represent the W prime, that tank. Now here's the really neat thing. The areas of each of these blocks are identical. May not look it, but they are identical. But what they show us is that this area here, where the intensity is really high, this is a tall, narrow area. Where the intensity is lower, it's still in the severe domain, but it's lower intensity exercise, it is longer and thinner, but it's still the same area. So what is this W prime? How can it have the same area across all of these workloads? So what is it? Well, it's fascinating. And it refers to what we call the curvature constant. It defines this curve. Clearly you can see these areas, we tally them up to the curve, they define the curvature constant. They don't define the critical power. Remember, the critical power is the asymptote of the curve. Traditionally, this is why I was saying I want you to move away from the term anaerobic work capacity. What we understand the W prime is, it's not fixed. And it's not a fixed reserve, it's not a store per se, but it reflects a mechanical work capacity or capability. And it reflects fundamentally the decrease in your PCR, but also the accumulation of metabolites. So as the PCR declines and glycolysis is being utilised, we get an accumulation of metabolites, hydrogen ions, ammonia, free phosphates, ADP, we get a decrease in bicarbonate. The totality of those is the W prime. So in other words, no matter where we're working in the severe domain, we are going to get a hydrogen ion accumulation. We are going to get a PCR degradation. We are going to get a decrease in pH. We are going to get an increase in free phosphate concentration. We are going to get an increase in ADP concentration. But the rapidity for which these occur is much quicker when the intensity is much higher compared to when the intensity is much lower. But in the end, the W prime, which is a function of the totality of all of those, is identical. And what does this look like? Well, here we go. So this is data from Dave Paul, quite an old data set now. This is published in 1988. I believe this was part of Dave Paul's postdoc research that he was doing with Brian Whipp. And what you've got here is time